Hello, everybody. Welcome here. Welcome back. If it's your first time, glad you're here. If by the end of this you found this interesting or useful, hope you guys press the like button or follow. So let's kind of get into it. So render. In this video, I want to talk a little bit about it, but I'll do a little bit on just the basics of what render is in case you're not familiar with it, where I think it's going, what has kind of happened this next week with RenderCon, how I think it's going to affect price action, and just my general opinions. And yeah, I'll throw the price prediction at the end. I've talked about this crypto before. I'll talk about it again. And I'll do more videos like this for both crypto I own and ones that I don't own because I asked you guys, and that's essentially what you said. Reviews and price predictions. I'm going to talk about other stuff in the crypto universe as well, but I'll target more of those. So this way I can keep to another one of my promises and trying to keep these videos under 15 minutes for you guys. Let's kind of just jump right in. So for those of you who are new to Render, not really sure what it is, so it's a decentralized network that really just allows people to rent out GPU power to others so they can do high-end rendering and things like 3D art, video games, AI models, help with videos and pictures. So if you're familiar with something like the cloud computing systems like AWS or Google Cloud, Render gives a much cheaper, decentralized alternative, so it's not directly owned by a bunch of people they tap into unused GPUs across the globe. So you can use these render tokens, so you can rent out your GPU space. So if we have extra GPU power from your computer or multiple computers, kind of rent it out or essentially sell it out to those who they can use that extra power to make faster 3D visuals or AI projects. So it's a good way that Render's been used a couple of different ways for everything from supporting digital artists and developers to helping with AI and entertainment industries. Like they had a partnership with Paramount for Star Trek movies and videos, which is pretty cool. We'll probably get back to that in a little bit. So in short, that's what Render is. I know we can talk a lot more about it, but it helps with rendering. And the whole GPU power thing is an increasingly big deal because it's power or energy and all forms that cost money. So when you're able to find a cheaper way of doing it and able to sell it in a cheaper way at a higher amount in quality, now we've got a good product. And that's what Render really tries to do. So to go a little bit more on the backstory of Render, this isn't its first bull run. It's its second. So it's good to know it's completely survived the bear market. That's a good sign in general, right? Because a lot of crypto will not survive the bear market. Same thing with this one coming up. A lot of crypto will die off, go off in the cosmos because people will sell things. And if it's not a good project that's making money, which believe it or not all crypto, and actually I would even say not a lot of them are constantly making money. They run a lot more off of hype. So it's good to see something like Render that pushes through a bear market. So in short, the last bear run, they did pretty well. They peaked at about, it was just under $9. I think it was like $8.75. And that was in early of 21, April or May, I believe. And it was mostly driven because of the huge NFT boom, which I still don't really understand the big deal about NFTs. But dear Lord, do people make a lot of money, which means a lot of people lost a lot of money on NFTs. We'll still see if that becomes a thing this year or not. But it's all about AI in decentralizing rendering, hence the name. And there's been a lot of hype around Render, specifically because of the partnerships that they have, like NVIDIA and Paramount, let alone Endeavor, which is the parent company of pretty much all professional wrestling and the UFC. So they got some deep pockets in their pocket, which is always great. Apple, I don't think you even mentioned because they work with Apple directly. And most of the guys are going to be speaking at a large convention coming up called RenderCon. So between it survived the bear run, it's got a real use, and it's got a lot of support. Right there, if you knew nothing else, that's probably enough to get you a little bit more interested. If not, I don't really know what you're in crypto, or maybe you're just not into RWAs. So I'm not really big into AI as a narrative, but this is one of my two plays, and there's plenty of reasons for it. So I want to pull up these charts real quick, just look to see where Render is right now, where it has been, and where hypothetically it might end up going. I always like starting the 1 month chart. If you guys have been with me a little bit, you know, to me, it's not a narrowed in focus where it's like, oh, in the day it went up a blip this big, which, you know, could be 3 cents. So I like looking at the month chart to start, and you can see overall it's been going well. It's been actually outperforming almost all crypto in the top 100 compared to Bitcoin in the last couple of weeks when tariffs and everything were announced. And it might be because of the event that's coming up. I don't know. It's also just a very strong community, but it's been holding pretty solid and even going up overall close to that $4 mark. See if we can retain that. Just about a year ago or within a year, it was around the $10, $11. We had an all-time high of 13 something. I guess it was just over a year ago, if it is in here on the chart, unless it's this marker. No. So we've had a couple of spikes. And again, you might like, oh, what's the dips for? And then the giant tops on top. It just followed all altcoin markets at this point. To be honest, guys, you'll see very similar in many. Pull up the all-time. And so here's where we had its all-time high back in the last bull run. And then, yep, bears. Man, imagine buying this thing at 45 cents right now. I just bought a little bit more. It was like at 320. Yep. You deserve the price that you buy in at, right, guys? DCAing is a powerful tool. So at the all-time high, what do we have there? Oh, just glimpsed it. 1314. At least that's what it's reading here. So not like this actually means anything. I think it's going to go past it. But even if it only got back to its all-time high, we're looking at a 4x from right now, right? And it's a larger market cap. I know you might not call it a large market cap. It's number 42, but it's got 2 billion. So it's setting up pretty nicely, at least I think. And again, if you're only looking for small rebounds, which I mean, 2 to 4x being considered small for money, I think it's kind of ridiculous, but it is a small amount compared to what most people go for. It just did that a couple months ago. So I do think it's going to get there again. I think it's going to go way past that. I'm going to hit the price prediction in a little while at the end of it, though. Again, you've heard me talk about before. You already know where I'm thinking. And I even have my next sell limits already posted on my post page on YouTube. So if you guys are curious, I don't hide anything, at least not purposefully. I already announced where I'm going to sell my next bit of render at when it hurts level. I don't remember off the top of my head, guys. That's why I keep it in a Google Doc and posted it. We got some good things coming up that I do think is going to spike up the render price a little bit. So we're always looking for catalysts, right? Like what's going to cause people to buy a crypto? Because as much as we want to talk about the technology and the partnerships, I mean, the partnerships kind of come into hype, which is really what I'm alluding to or getting at, is crypto's a popularity contest, guys. It really is. You'll see a lot of the top, maybe not 10, but top 100 crypto don't really have much of a project yet. They're just saying, this is the technology. This is going to do well. We're going to do this. We signed this partnership, but none of it's taken effect yet and won't for several months. But the price goes up. Why is that? Because we freaking buy the thing, right? I mean, the more excitement that you can get, more good news people buy, both on the individual for the crypto or the macroeconomics of, oh my God, there's tariffs everywhere. Everybody sell. Wait a minute, we're going to wait 90 days until we hit tariffs, unless you're China. Hey, that's good news, everybody. Let's buy. Had nothing to do with really the market in general. Nothing even really changed. It was just our perception of what could happen. And the same thing happens with individual cryptos. What is going to get us to get excited or perceive that this is a good buy? And we've got a big thing coming up. It could be a buy the rumor, sell the news type of event where everything goes up a little bit from excitement and then prices go up or people lose the excitement of it. So they start selling. But we got RenderCon coming up on April 15th, US tax day. So obviously, I don't know exactly what they're going to talk about. I mean, they have their itinerary. I know the topics that they're going to talk about. But we don't know if they're going to make a major announcement that could really get things hustling in the right direction for the render or even the whole AI community, kind of depending on who says what. And it could be a giant nothing burger. But RenderCons usually have something they usually say some big news for it, right? And I'm not saying that they will. I'm hopeful, but we'll end up finding out soon. So we'll end up seeing this as too much of a buy the rumor event. I'm preparing for it. Like I just bought a little bit more render. I didn't update the post. I told you guys I would update when I buy things. So here's your thing. I bought a little bit of render, not much. That and ASM, Assemble AI this morning. I also have render in a liquidity pool with Solana. A little risky if you guys know anything about liquidity pools of having pretty much you want to find crypto that are going to be up and down together and stable. So usually it's like a stable coin, like USDC and anything else. And I've got render and Solana together. They should move relatively together, a little bit higher risk, a little higher reward because render runs on Solana. So what's good for one is good for the other. And I'm just kind of betting on that render itself is going to move up a little bit more, if anything, than Solana, because render goes up, so does Solana. We'll see how this one's working out. I mean, it's working out okay, but I'm preparing for the 15th. So what exactly is going on other than some just convention called RenderCon that they have every year? Well, it's starting to build up to where it could actually be a major catalyst just because of the speakers, right? We've got CEOs, founders, and marketing experts or the marketing team for groups like Beeble. We have Ariel and Manuel. We have Richard Karras from NVIDIA. We've got a couple of guys coming from Star Trek and from Paramount. We've got a couple of the marketing guys from Apple coming into this, and they're not all just being there. They're all talking or putting on part of a presentation. So it's a good time if you want to get a lot of media, make a large announcement when there's a lot of cameras and eyes on you. And all these guys know that, right? So I don't know if there's going to be a large announcement. I feel like it's about time for a big change or a big announcement because render, again, it's a utility coin and it gets used. So I have no idea if any of these are going to happen. But if we're looking for a catalyst or excitement, is Paramount works with Render for a Star Trek deal. What if they announce they're going to do a year contract? Or they're going to do it for a couple, whether it's everything on Paramount, or if they're going to do it, maybe went to HBO Max or something where Render will now be using for the video cleanup, so to speak. That could be freaking huge because they use Render to do the rendering. It burns a little bit, which keeps inflation down. I love burning mechanisms, guys. It's a great way to get me interested in the crypto. It's not the end all, obviously, but love that Render has that built in. The biggest announcement that could be made isn't really a general announcement. It's from a specific person or group, which is NVIDIA. The CEOs of Render and NVIDIA are quite close. They've known each other for a long time, which is why the collaborations are pretty easy to make, let alone, I mean, what they do together makes a lot of sense. NVIDIA with all the GPUs, it's one of the main things that they do. And Render, what do you know, helps power it. It makes sense. So if there's any new details or increased partnership or a new partnership that involves NVIDIA, any of its CPUs or GPU power, or maybe it's going to be NVIDIA is selling or using their GPUs for something else, maybe bringing in Intel, for example. Like anything like this could be massive. There could always be someone else comes in into the mix, another cook in the kitchen. Imagine if we had like someone from TikTok or Instagram that's now going to be using Render, which I know is something they're targeting. I don't actually think that one's going to happen right now, by the way, but it'd be pretty freaking cool. But whether you guys have heard about Render before today or not, obviously do your own research. If this is something that seems like a good play to you, research a little bit more and then make a move, right? If I usually say don't hesitate, as I think overall it's better just to jump in. I mean, if it's an awful time where you see everything green candle wicks going up, then again, it's probably best, or I would probably wait at that point. But if you're not sure if it's going to go lower, or it's like, oh, we're at the bottom, or we at a good price, well, if you have like $2,000 on the side, and you're willing to put all 2,000 in, maybe just put in half of it right now, see where it goes. I do that method a lot, right? But ultimately, where do I think Render is going to go? Right? I mean, there's been so many outlandish, in my opinion, outlandish price predictions for Render. 100 is kind of the highest I hear recurringly. I mean, I've heard people say 500, but that's way too moon boyish to me. I don't see a realistic world where it's going to happen this year. And honestly, if it does, I would have already sold on Render before it gets there. Is 100 possible? I mean, it's possible. It's possible. I'm not counting on it, but it very well could get there depending on what happens in the next 3 to 9 months. Where I think it's more realistically going to go is I'll give two little price predictions on the bearish case, and then I'll consider what's a little bit more realistic where I actually think it's going to hit. And when I say all-time high where it's going to hit, I mean a candle wick where it touches it and comes back down. So a lot of times that's where the all-time high is, right? A quick flick to the top and then straight back down. Not necessarily where you're going to be able to sell it at, which is why I think it's important to have different sell limits on your way up and then also on the way back down. case it doesn't hit as high as you think or want it to. But I have on the bearish side $35. I'm pretty freaking confident it's going to hit there. Again, I could be wrong. I'm going to sell some of my render before it gets there, just in case I'm wrong. I want to make sure I get profits in and then move it into or trickle it down in other coins. More realistically, I wouldn't be shocked at all if it hits closer to $63 to $65. I'm not going to promise anything, obviously. I don't have a crystal ball, as everyone likes to say, but I'd be pretty confident at 35. But shit happens. We never know. But to give my more realistic case, I'd say closer to 63 to 65. And I hear a lot of people say 50. And here's kind of why I say the bearish part of 35 is, I've said this before, and I'll say this many more times, guys. Be careful of fives and zeros. All right, they're the numbers where people are expecting and thinking it's going to go. And if the majority of people, the herd, thinks it's going to hit 50, it's not, or it's going to go way past it and 50 is irrelevant. Right? Like, so if it starts getting close to 42, 43, whales are those that have bought in at a low price, like $2 or less. Know that everyone's looking at it at 50. So there's going to be a lot of selling pressure around that $50 mark. Expect kind of the same, probably around 20, and then every zero from there until 50. Again, that's kind of common with all crypto. So it would have to blast past 50. So I really do like Render. I think it's a really exciting project that has a lot of potential in one of the strongest narratives, AI, during this cycle. And it's got a lot of potential still for growth because it's just now starting to, in the last 2 years, have these partnerships that have really been turning into TVL and money coming in. And with RenderCon coming up, this could be an event where we see a nice little blip coming. And it could be short-lived, it could be long-lasting. It really kind of depends on what is the news. Mostly what is the news, but also how global economics going at that point, which it's looking actually pretty good, at least in my opinion, despite what you think. You don't have to tell me about tariffs and charts and how much NASDAQ goes down. I know and I fully understand that. Short-term stuff, guys. But you know what I think now? I am curious, what do you guys think? So, like, do you see Render breaking past $35, past 50? Do you think I'm nuts in saying I'm not sure about getting to 100? I think it's a little moonish, so it could certainly happen. Please drop your thoughts down in the comments. I really want to know. And once again, if you found this useful or interesting, please do subscribe. Ring the little ding thing. It does help out the small channel a lot. I greatly appreciate it. And in the post section on my YouTube channel, feel free to post names of crypto that you want me to talk about. I will give you my honest opinion about them. So there's a little bit of the yellow flag. If I think it's crap, I'll tell you guys I think it's crap and why. Haven't had to do that yet. Probably won't, but I got to give the warning. And if it's one that I'm not familiar with or overly familiar with, like there was a couple people asked me, like I've heard of that one, but I don't really know it. Give me time, guys, because I'm not going to half-ass and just whip something out there for just to throw out there on YouTube. But I do have a couple coming that you guys have requested for. Keep asking for me. Worst case, I say no or I say nothing. But I'll probably say yes or no. But thank you guys for being here. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll catch you around soon. Peace.